Welcome back to the Property Playbook. We're your hosts, Elena Saraditas
and Erica Reddy-Shaquette.
And today, like always, we're talking all things real estate. We have a fantastic guest with us today, Sam Hewit. She is part of the leadership team at Royal LePage Signature. She basically manages us.
A very hard job.
A billion other salespeople. Sam, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you just tell us a little bit about, we're throwing you right in, a little bit about your property portfolio, how you got started? I know you used to be more, I'd say, licensed, and now you're more of in the leadership role of managing agents. So kind of run us through your career trajectory and how you kind of started to now.
Sure, yeah. It's a big question.
It's a big question.
Just give us your life story, effectively.
Yeah, give us your full life story. That's what we're interested in.
So I started, I'm like the rest of us on the screen right now, or as you're listening. I started at 21. I was right out of university. I actually started answering phones, and at a very prominent real estate firm, and I definitely got like a huge eye opener in terms of like what real estate agents were like. They weren't really that nice at the time. And then I became an assistant. I worked for a top agent, which was great. I learned a lot from her. And then I started selling, and I really liked the selling. I enjoyed the hustle and bustle. Our friend Erica Reddy here was my intern. She started as my intern when I was selling real estate. And then she worked with her way up to a buyer's agent, and then we were full partners. And then in 2010, I started on the leadership team at Royal LePage Signature. And now I oversee our sales team, including the two of you gals.
And we make it so easy.
Yeah, in itself is a full-time job. In terms of my property portfolio, I have 2 investment condos, which I really like for a variety of reasons. I know you ladies talk a lot about, investment real estate. For me, as a single woman who doesn't know how to use any kind of drill, screw, any whatever, the idea of having a duplex or a triplex was just really kind of overwhelming for me. And so I like the condos as investments. I find a lot of times if you're in a newer building, it's a bit of set it and forget it. So I have those 2. I'm looking to pick up a 3rd this year because I have 2 kids, 2 girls. So I'd like a second condo downtown. I've got 1 downtown and 1 in North York. I'd like a second one downtown for my younger daughter for when she's done university. And then I own my house. I live in the suburbs. Erica calls it the palatial estate.
It is, let me tell you.
I traded location for size, which I know the two of you have this conversation regularly with your clients. I traded, being in the city, which I was before, to living in the burbs. And so, the suburbs, there's always pros and cons to both of those conversations. But for me, the suburbs are, my kids walk to school every day by themselves. They play outside after school. The kids knock on your door to ask if you're like, is this 1980? Like, where am I? Which is it was pretty cool. The drive, of course, isn't ideal. And if you're going to go out on a weekend, it's not the same. I'm not leaving here to go walk to a restaurant. I'm not leaving my house to do that. But it's, it works for my girls and I, so.
And I think, honestly, I think when it comes to real estate in any situation, lifestyle is one of the biggest drivers of the choice of real estate, be it, are you trading off for size, location, for walkability, for the kids, for the school? I mean, goodness, I'm in the middle of it myself right now, so I can speak to it. But it's hard to know the right fit, and I think it's so individual and so personal for each person.
Because you bring it up, I'm just going to blast this out there. If anyone has a listing in Rosedale, Erica is looking. Please contact her. If you're looking to sell your home, she might be your buyer.
Oh my gosh, you kill me.
Well, I feel like we need to say it because every time we enter a room now, you're like, who has a listing?
100%.
Yes. Every person, you're like, hi.
Thanks for the PSA. I appreciate it.
Love. Okay, and now you're kind of, again, you're in more of a leadership role. You left that whole transacting in real estate. What's it been like? And now you're starting a whole conference for women in leadership and how women can progress in our fields.
For me, I really enjoyed the coaching and the mentoring role of, being an agent. When you're a top agent, as you guys, both are, you get approached a lot. You get a lot of people that, reach out. Can you have coffee with me? Do you have time for a call? Can I get your advice? Do you have a second? Can I pick your brain? And I got that a lot. And I enjoyed it a lot. And I realized that was really sort of more of my passion than the trading aspect of it. Erica, going back to what you said before about lifestyle, being a realtor is a lifestyle. It's a full-on 24/7, 365. And I definitely think I burnt out a little bit from that aspect of the lifestyle. Now, of course, I oversee 1,600 people. So I'm not less busy.
Talk about burnout. No,
I'm not less busy than I was.
it's just a different busy.
It's a different busy. And I think, the conversation, when you're in a corporate environment as a woman is so different because you really trade security for freedom. And when you're a woman, or if you're a mom, you realize that is a tough trade to have sometimes, right? My kids are in school full time, thank goodness, or 8 and 10, but there's still PA days and March breaks and summer and this, where you feel like you're sort of juggling a lot. And so the transition to leadership for me was really important, and I really, really enjoy it. But it is a different conversation when you're a woman as opposed to a man. And the work itself looks a little bit different. The, client dinners and the activities and the entertaining and all that kind of stuff is a little bit different. So it's sort of driven this conversation that I have, I've had with both of you, that I have a lot with the women on our sales team, where, they come in and they'll say to me, I feel like I'm failing. Or, I look at LNS Eruditus and I look at Erica Reddy-Chiquette, and they're so successful. They're killing it. And I feel like I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not successful at all. And meanwhile, these are women doing, maybe half of what you're doing, which is still that's a tremendous amount. And the conversation always goes the same way. Is it just me? Am I the only one who feels like this? And I'm like, no, we all feel like.
I think because you're mentioning it, we should probably do a little bit of a dive on how our lives have kind of changed since real estate. Is that a good way to start?
100%.
Because all of us are in very different places. Like, you're a single mom, have 2 kids. Your kids are relatively older. Erica has her little one, 4 now.
4.
Yeah. And you were looking at schools and how to balance real estate and lifestyle. And I'm not married yet, but I am engaged. It's happening eventually. And I don't have kids yet. But our lifestyle are all very, very different in terms of, like, how do we balance ourselves? Like, I can tell you a story right now, which I know we're interviewing Sam, but I'm going to mention this because she said, people look at us and say, well, what are they doing? The other night I had showings. I was back to back to back. Dan asked me for one thing in the morning.
Dan being her fiance. Yeah. In case anyone's wondering who Dan
What's
is.
the one thing?
He asked me, do not be late to dinner tonight.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, Bobby. Cut to spoiler. She was late for dinner.
The reason why he asks this is because I am constantly late when it comes to meeting with him for dinner. And he thinks that it's always with his friends, never with mine. So he asked for one thing: do not be late tonight. I booked this fantastic restaurant. It's tasting menu. These guys also want to buy a property. Like, come. They want to meet
Even if they didn't, just come.
But, like, also he's like, let's entice her, be on time. But I had back-to-back showings. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, which is not actually the middle of nowhere. I'm in Midtown. To get to Midtown, to prime downtown Toronto, in the heat of traffic,
good luck.
I'm not getting there on time. So I sent him a text around 3 o'clock saying, I'm going to be late. Dinner's at 5:30. What time did I show up? There should be a prize if you guess this.
7.
You're actually on the money.
Oh, gosh.
I was almost an hour and a half late for dinner. They were sitting there. They started the tasting menu. I came in. I apologized. I sat down, and they were speeding me through the courses so I could catch up with everyone else.
Because you're cold, yeah.
He wasn't fully mad because he understands. And that, I think, comes down to having an understanding partner if you're in this industry. The first question he asked is, did you at least make a sale? Because if you're going to be late and not make dinner on time, like, did you at least do a deal? Like, well, where were you? So this is the part that people don't see from the outside looking in. They see the transactions, they see the success stories. They do not see the amount of hours and the amount of sacrifice that we do in order to be this successful. It doesn't just happen overnight.
But I think part of the challenge to that is that it oftentimes, I think that everyone thinks it's like this big secret.
Agreed.
And it's not always, why are they doing it? Or it really is like, how are they doing that? How are they juggling everything? How are they balancing it all? And I think it's stories like this where we don't often talk about these kinds of things in a public environment, where you're like, the reality is I just disappointed my boyfriend. That's the trick, my fiance. That's the trick. That's the whole secret. We don't often have those conversations.
And that's when it comes to when you're choosing a partner and when you're in real estate, you have to be very cautious. They're either, and this is a bad thing to say, but I say it to my team all the time. I have a team full of women. They're either holding you back or helping you move forward. This is not a career where you work a 9 to 5 and you have your evenings and weekends off. Unless you structure it like Erica, then you have somewhat of a personal life with family, and she'll speak on that as well. But I sacrificed so much, especially when I started, and people don't see that. In the beginning stages of my career, I had no life. My evenings, I was working every single night. I was all the time. And my weekends, I was open housing every single weekend. There was no life. So coming into this thinking you're going to have balance and like the nice tale where they say you get to make up your own hours.
That's right.
Make up your own hours.
That's my favorite. Oh, I love that one.
Work whenever your clients are available. So if your client calls you and says, oh, this house popped up, are you not going to show it to them? Of course you are.
Yes.
Like the work is whenever there is work. So you work for that. You work all the time. You need to make money. It's commission-based industry.
Mm-hmm. But I think the other challenge too that I think, real estate for sure and being in this profession for sure, but also just general vulnerability, I think is something that a lot of people struggle with. Women, I mean, everyone, but we're talking a bit women specific here. And I think it's truthfully just being honest. It's being honest with other moms. It's being honest with other entrepreneurs. I mean, I had a call with another agent the other day and she was really scared. She was really nervous. She wasn't feeling like she had the flow and the volume that she was looking. And I said, you know what? We all have our months. And it was like just acknowledging and being in the same place as her made her go, oh my gosh, so it's going to be okay. And I was like, yes, because being honest and transparent is so, in my opinion, important. And this is obviously where this movement of becoming her has really come from for you and echoing everything that you're hearing with women in, leadership and in obviously the day-to-day.
It feels like there's so much pressure. Like, and when I say I feel it myself, but I also hear it very consistently where women come in and they say to me like, I feel like I'm failing at home a little bit, and I'm also failing at work when I'm at home and I'm not doing enough. And we like social media is this wonderful tool for business promotion, but it also allows us to compare someone's highlight reel to our everyday life. And there's a lot of emotion and ugliness, I think, kind of built into that. And I really just wanted to build this community around us being able to have these conversations where, to your point, it's being able to be vulnerable and say like, I disappoint my fiance sometimes, or sometimes I miss bedtime, or, sometimes I don't make the Christmas concert this year. Like sometimes it just happens. And being able for other women to say, yeah, same, like it's okay that I feel like that too. And I think through that strength, we can all sort of empower each other. The two of you both have all female teams, which is so great because you can have these conversations more regularly. But for a lot of women in our industry, they're alone. It's a lonely business. Yeah. It's this perception of like you're around people all day and it's exciting and great, but it's your business you're running, which means you're alone. And not everyone has the ability to say to somebody, this is how I feel. What do you, help me feel better? Or how do you fix this problem? And sometimes it really is just saying like, it's work. It's doing the work. Like work works. It's just getting out there and doing it. So I'm really excited to be able to have the conversation with women in a bigger forum.
Absolutely. And I think what's great about this, and for obviously listeners out there, this is really for any and all women. It's not just women in real estate. I mean, I think the thought of, some of the imposter syndrome and challenges and concerns, these conversations are echoed through all industries, all women, be it a mother, be it not, be it, an entrepreneur, be it a businesswoman, be it in a corporation. So I think what I love is this really does resonate with everybody. It's not just real estate.
Mm-hmm. We've got some really awesome entrepreneurs coming. We've got quite a few women in the mortgage space. But I also have, a huge group of women I know that work on Bay Street and, working in finance, talk about, imposter syndrome and, standing out as a woman, like, whoo. Almost every woman I talk to that works on Bay Street is on an all-male team. They're the only woman in their whole, division or unit or whatever. And they go through the imposter syndrome and the comparison and why does it feel like it's so easy for them but not easy for me? And that's the same conversation we have as realtors. I have women that come in to see me and they say like, you think it's easier for blah, blah, blah because he's a man? And I don't, honest answer is I don't know. I think it's just pros and cons. Mm-hmm. But, the conference really is for everybody. And the biggest reason I think that people are going to like the conference, the women are going to enjoy it, is because the keynote speaker is Joanna Griffiths. And she is, I think a Toronto icon, a businesswoman, someone that we will remember for years and years. I think they're going to study her in textbooks. She, of course, is the founder of Knix, the apparel company, sold the company last year for $320 million. And, she has been very public with her journey as, a woman in business building this company. She's been at it for more than 10 years. She's in her early 40s. And she will tell you she's been approached by men or had conversations with men throughout her entire career that have questioned her ability to build a business and have questioned her ability to be successful. And when she was pregnant with twins, questioned her ability to do it all or have it all. And so I think that story is going to resonate so well with all of us and everyone that's attending. So I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. The whole team is coming. I know Eric is coming.
Yeah, I know.
Our team is coming as well.
100%.
We're extremely excited to see this, especially because I'm going to turn it back to real estate again. The majority of people that are purchasing right now, repeat and first-time buyers, are female right now.
100%.
And there is a reason why females are getting into the market. And there was a stat, or there was an article that was recently published that was basically like, women want key rings, not actual rings now. Like actual properties.
I might ride both lines.
And you might write, I know you're into the diamonds. No, but there is something to say about getting financially free first.
Absolutely.
And then handling everything else.
Yeah.
And there is a different conversation. Like, you've bought a property now. What does he bring to the table? Or what does your partner bring to the table too? Like, set yourself up. Don't wait for someone else to help you set it up.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think that's what's so exciting about this. And that ties, I think, just such an incredible group of women together. And I mean, before we close this off, date and time for this incredible conference.
Oh, yes.
The most important part.
The conference is called Becoming Her TO. It is on March the 6th at Parkview Manor. It starts at 9 o'clock, coffee 8:30, maybe some muffins, maybe some Greek yogurt and some granola for our healthy friends. And we will wrap up at 3:30.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Well, once again, thank you so much, Sam. Thank you all for joining us on Property Playbook. Once again, I'm your host, Elena Saradidas.
And I'm Erica Reddy-Chiquette.
And we can't wait until we talk more real estate next week.